Good morning, all the beautiful minds here. As I look back, I find the committed souls trying to steer this country to greater heights. And as I look forward, I find the captains of school education who is trying to lead this country again to prosperity. But as a scientist, I am at a crossroads. I have spent 40 years in science thinking that science is creation of new knowledge, something which I did not know this morning, something I had no access to it 2 years ago. Science has been systematically an attempt to understand the process and phenomena of nature in a new way. The old is a launching pad, but not necessarily a solid foundation on which we can build the future. We find very disturbing, ominous clouds hovering around the scientific atmosphere of this country, not only of this country, of the whole world. We organized a march to retrieve science, to preserve its sanctity, to preserve its objectivity from obscurantist philosophies. As I said, science is a search for new knowledge. When we search for this new knowledge, we can be reasonably and legitimately proud of our old traditions. Certainly, yes, but they are not empirical guidelines for us to build the future. When a Nobel laureate makes a declaration that I will not attend science congresses anymore in this country, I think there is a great intellectual rebuff to the traditions of science of this country. We have 4 scientists per 10,000 of population in this country. That's a pretty small number. China has got about 80 scientists per 10,000 population. Now, because the magnitude of our population is high, we have a significant, substantial portion of scientists. But is our science on the right track? Are we having a forward-looking policy on science? Do we have a retrograde philosophy which is taking us backward? This is a question which all right-thinking scientists have to ask. Science largely is an organized activity. It's largely a governmentally organized activity. Therefore, the will of the people will not be reflected necessarily on the direction in which science is moving. Now, if we are to rewrite our textbooks, if we are going to take some antediluvian views, if we are suspecting the veracity of the theory of evolution, when scientists like Miller's experiments on putting the atoms and molecules together and create the first prototype of life, when we are engaged in that activity, the frontiers of science in the laboratories, and then we are thinking that we have question marks, suspects on Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. This is where teachers have to be very careful. We have been given alternative truths, alternative facts, post-truths, but post-truths and alternative facts have no relevance in science. It is one thing to have an honorable tradition of a thoughtful science of the past. For example, India can recall the Kanada's atomic theory, how matter becomes discrete, and how molecules are built up from that. Fine. But if I want to do an experiment on the spectroscopy of an atom today, I can do it only on the modern concepts. If you read some book of work which is 5 years old or 10 years old, that is not going to help me to go forward. How far should we look into the past? How long the past should be a burden, an overburden on our intellectual heritage? That is the question which the scientific community has to ask today, not only in this country, throughout the world. That's why to free science from the shackles of orthodoxy, from heterodox views, there have been problems in the past. When Vesalius dissected the body, the church was against him. When Copernicus said it moves, Appersimoi, when Galileo said that, there was a resistance to that. Resistance is natural when new truth is being found. Many of us do not have the necessary mindset and psyche to accept the new changes that is coming. But if you want to build a society in objectivity, where there is evidence-based reasoning and you can lead an intelligent and meaningful life and a significant contribution to the society, we have to necessarily back on, not necessarily to be a scientist. I'm not asking all of you to become scientists. To be a scientist is probably one of the most monotonous and one of the dullest jobs in the world. But to have scientific temper, I'm not even asking for scientific temperament. If you can temper your normal romantic views, tempered with an element of science, to the extent that there is a cause for every effect. All that we should remember when we think of the scientific temper is this: there is a cause which produces an effect. Effects are not produced without causes. If this fundamental causal law is accepted, and that we are not driven as products of randomness, and even in randomness there is an order, it is this philosophy, this outlook on life, which makes our world view into a scientific temper. India is remarkably fortunate because we had a prime minister, the first prime minister, who was not a scientist, but he was a scholar. He was a classical scholar. He was trained on the sensitive elevations of thoughts at that point of time in the Western philosophy. He thought into the Constitution, we should drill into the Constitution that scientific temper should be brought. Now, to build such a thing into the Constitution, and now being more dishonored than being honored in its original content, that is the tragedy and the travesty of our times. This should be sensitized among the student community. I think the teachers should take it upon themselves, the moral responsibility, that developing a scientific temper as far as the Constitution has evolved us to do it, we have to take it into the classrooms. It's not by delivering sermons on the subject, by making them do things. When they do a small experiment in the laboratory, they should go by evidence-based reasoning. So if you can teach this fundamental concept that there is a cause which produces an effect, there may be multiple causes which may produce an effect, but this chain should be well driven into our classrooms. Now, in the future, if you look forward, we have about $500 billion invested in science today. It's a massive industry. Now, to find an intelligent life in the future, it is a scientific establishment which will be able to provide that sustenance. All our jobs, there have been recent fears that whether artificial intelligence will displace us. But artificial intelligence might displace human endeavor to some extent. But the political philosophy that the total wealth generated by an artificial intelligence is uniformly distributed is the ultimate solution for answering this. There have been attempts. For example, the Japanese insurance company replaced 50 people by Watson robot. Yes, fine. But that livelihood, that social security should be provided to the people who are becoming victims of technological changes. This is not a way to negate technology. Technology may bring in drastic changes in society, but the answer should be a more egalitarian society, and the wealth created by displacing human labor by using artificial intelligence is to be distributed to the people who have been affected most by that. Temporarily, we have to find political solutions, societal solutions for this. But let us not call technology a halt, because human intelligence, however great it is linear. It has its own imperfections. The neurochemical transmissions that take place in our human body are not able to give us the right solutions and answers for all our problems. But if we interact with artificial intelligence and a blend between the two, every time you get a synergetic effect, it is possible for us to develop a super intelligence which will be able to take decisions on a data analytic mode when we have a huge quantity of data pouring in. Therefore, I am not for artificial intelligence, but I am against a society which will use the benefits of that artificial intelligence to increase the inequality in the society. That is where the problem is. Today, any development in science, it has a direct impact on the society. It is for the wise people to find out what are the possible and natural consequences of this action, and to make appropriate political mechanisms so that society never runs into a negative mode. We have the Technology Vision 2035 document brought about by the government. Now, if we follow every footstep of that, we will find that there is going to be a scientific element on every aspect of it. If we want to provide 2 liters of drinking water to everybody in this country, we may have to go in for technology. It is not possible for us to use any of our conventional technology. Any of them which is written down in our great scriptures will not be able to help us to give us 2 liters of drinking water to our people. Only modern science, a science based on desalination technology, a science based on polyamide membranes alone will be able to do that. So it is for us to understand and appreciate the significance and the increasing impact of technology and science in our life, and to create future generations, that is the millennials, the students whom we are handling today, should be totally science oriented. And without science, without technology, without engineering, without mathematics, and without medicine, it is impossible to think unless you decide in principle that you will go back to the dark ages. Our emergence from the dark ages into Renaissance, and if there is an arrow of time coming backward, then we are going down back in history. History shows a progressive progression to the future, for which the change agent is science and technology alone. So it is, I would call upon and urge all my teacher friends that our business is to increase the dose of science in our syllabus. No doubt science is a hard way to do it, but there are better methods. There are sweeter methods. There are softer methods of delivery based on modern pedagogic techniques to make science a joy for learning and to build a new, brave new world. That should be the objective of every education. I wish all the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your knowledge with us. Mr. G. Selvaraj, correspondent, SBOA Coimbatore, is a person who has committed to the cause of education, one who believes in developing the personality of young children. May I invite you, sir, to address the gathering.
Respected President of Educational Trust, Comrade R. Balaji, the Associate Secretary and Correspondent of the Mighty Trust, Comrade Thomas Franco Rajendra Dev, the Chief Guest of today's valedictory function, the great personality, Arvind Ashok Vardhan Sethi, Dr. Mark Noaksi from Logic Mills of Singapore, Dr. Jayaraman, the correspondents of the various schools of the Educational Trust, Sri Sendi Kumar, A. Ravichandran, Comrade A.V. Joseph, Comrade Ashok, the management committee members, Mr. Rajaram, Mr. Manimaran, and Mr. Prakash, the various school principals, vice principals, teachers, and non-teaching staff. Good morning. First of all, I thank the organizers for having given this opportunity to stand in this SBOA conclave that is being conducted for the past 5 days. You know, even as a gents, I know the difficulty of spending 5 days without family members. I know there are more than 90% are ladies. It is very difficult and it is very painful both physically and mentally. You are leaving your family in a different place and you are spending all these 7 days here without your family. I know the painful of separation. Thank you for having spent the more 7 days here. And I also take this opportunity to thank the organizers led by P.C. Selvarani and others, that because of their continuous efforts, that the participants did not feel that you are without family. So thank the organizers for having arranged a wonderful conclave. You know, this kind of conclave is a brainchild of our secretary and correspondent, Comrade Thomas Franco Rajendra Dev. And the purpose of conducting this conclave is to inculcate more knowledge, and you can share your feelings and suggestions. The main agenda, main purpose is to improve the standard of the education trust and the schools under the educational trust. You know, a huge investment has been made for this 5 days program. And as a management member, we expect return. That is, return on investment. So, I hope the experiences you gained here and the knowledge you imparted here and the ideas and innovative plan you imparted from the guest speakers of all these 5 days should be made into the reality whenever you go to your individual schools. That is, you should not stop with the feedback given by the various school members here alone. You should bring back everything you learned, and it should be analyzed in each individual schools, compartment-wise. The compartment head should take care of the things what you have learned here, and it should also be implemented in each school so that the investment should be there for the betterment of individual schools. And coming to the changes, you know, change is inevitable, and this kind of programs is to have a better change towards betterment of the trust. Here, in the SBOA Vision 30 document released by our secretary and correspondent, in his foreword, he has mentioned that regarding the changes, a few basic principles will always help adapt to changes. They are: people matter, all people and not a few. Creativity has to be nurtured. Truth wins always. Transparency frees all of us. Authenticity attracts everyone. Quality speaks and wins. Generosity provides good returns. Courage sustains humans. Skills, various skills are important. So, I request, make use of this program and please be prepared for the changes, for the betterment, and we hope, and I hope personally, that you will bring more laurels for this educational institute, educational trust, as Madam Undi Madam, Radhia Undi Madam has brought and her team has brought lot of laurels. There are only one private school in entire India. So, I hope all of you bring more laurel to see the Educational Institute, SBI Educational Institute flag fly high. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your words of appreciation, suggestion, and your belief in teachers. A man of letters, a person who shows keen interest in academic and social activities in him. In him, we have always found a great strength and support to all the programs that the SBOA schools undertake. Yes, I am referring to our secretary and correspondent. May I take the pleasure of inviting Dr. D. Thomas Franco, secretary and correspondent, SBIOA Educational Trust, to deliver his special address.
Our beloved President, Comrade Balaji, our Chief Guest, Dr. Ashok Vardhan Shetty, other dignitaries on the dais, and Comrade Selvaraj, who has in a brief address has given you that assurance that he cares for you. And my dear members of the SBOA family, first of all, I salute you for this involvement. Sorry. The 5 days of a get-together, a confluence of minds, lot of debates, lot of discussions, lot of creativity, lot of cultural get-together. It has been amazing. And the vision document, which has been prepared with all your involvement under the guidance of Dr. Ravi Bindu. The Bonami, the new magazine for the parents, the glimpses, the feedback you gave, that all has been really amazing. Thank you and salute you all first. I am critical, so I have to also be critical till the end. There are few things I would like us to bring in change towards perfection. Time management is something important. The cultural programs in which your talents you displayed was really great. But did you manage the time? Did you stick to the time allotted to you? However, you should introspect. Can't we wait for a few hours without tea and snacks? After all, you have your breakfast at 9. When a speaker is speaking, distributing coffee or snacks, it disturbs the whole of audience. Never do that in future. And last year, we were very careful to see that nowhere paper cups, these packets should be thrown around. But on that day of cultural event, I saw everybody given a packet and everybody throwing it away and going. You are role models. You are not ordinary human beings. You are the role models for the others. So you have to be different. So these are some critical remarks I wanted to give. But the creativity in which you have, I could witness in various activities you have done. I went to the stall you had put up. The creativity which has come within you within a very short time, how you could display various things. It is really appreciable. I once again congratulate you for that. Now, what is basically needed for a teacher, I will narrate with an incident. You all know Satya Nadella. Satya Nadella is today heading Microsoft. He belongs to our neighboring state, Andhra Pradesh. In a book, Hit Refresh, written by Satya Nadella, he is narrating an incident in his life. He was called for an interview in Microsoft after having worked in some small IT companies. And when he was called for the interviewer asked him a question which was not related to computer science. It was not related to his expertise on software. But the simple question was, you are walking on the road, you suddenly see a child which has fallen down and crying. What will you do? The immediate reply given by Satya Nadella was that I will call for an ambulance. But the interviewer told him, no, my dear boy. First thing you should do is to first pick up the child, find out what has happened, and that empathy is which is important. And Satya Nadella says that all that success which has happened to him afterwards, it is because of the empathy he has towards his fellow human beings, fellow workers, which is what is important for the teachers. The children who are coming to you are from different backgrounds, different diversities, different backgrounds of the families, in which some families, they might be having a lot of turmoils going inside the family, but that empathy which you show will make the difference. Now it is the time of creativity. I would like every one of you to read this book, Creating Innovators. This book I have already sent to all your libraries. I will not ask you how many you have read. But by Tony Wagner, this Creating Innovators is a wonderful book. The book itself is very creative. In every chapter, they refer to certain videos. So you have to log into an website and download that video and see. So practically, you will be able to see certain things through the video apart from the text. And this book is talking about how creativity can be nurtured. Creativity is not something which is inborn. By your training methods, it is possible to increase the creativity in each child. And that is what Mark Nowacki is doing. And I would like every one of our teachers to become one Mark Nowacki. Why? Because he has that passion. The passion is what makes a difference for you. And that passion, if it comes into each one of you, you will be changing not only the Sboasls schools, you will be changing the world. So the creativity part is something important, in which Dr. A.P. Jayaraman was mentioning about STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I would like to add another S to it, STEMs. As Mr. Cholarajan was saying, we have forgotten social science. That has to be added to that. Social science is all the more important today in the society where we are talking about unity and diversity. So this STEMs is something which should be inculcated into your mind, that whatever you do with the children, take all these components together, that will be bringing in a lot of change. See, today, school system, the type of education which we have, the type of evaluation system we have, it is not up to the mark. Not only in our country, all over the world. I'll just read out the name of some of these people. Edwin Land, who invented the Polaroid camera. Bill Gates, who created Microsoft. Mark Zuckerberg, who is the CEO of Facebook. Steve Jobs, who created Apple, the company which says that we see change. We look everything differently. Michael Dell, the person who created the Dell computers. Larry Ellison, who created Oracle. All these people have one thing in common. Can you say what is that? Pardon? At a particular point of time, they were dropouts. Either in the school or in the college, they had been dropouts. But they could reach up to a level that today the whole world talks about them. So, when you are dealing with a child, as Dr. Vasanthi Devi was mentioning about the book by Dr. Amartya Sen, The Country of First Boys, India of Contradictions, where we always talk about number one, number one, number one. It is always not possible for everybody to become number one. What happens to the 99% is more important. And I am proud that we have teachers who take care of that 99%, especially the people at the back end. We know that when you have the first quarterly exam, how many people fail, but when we see the final result, everybody succeeds. That is because of that empathy you have for the children, that extra input you are giving for that children, that is making the difference in our children. And look at our own examples within our country. Amitabh Bachchan. Do you know that Amitabh Bachchan, the great actor, whose voice is now appreciated so much, he went to All India Radio for an interview. They were told that his voice is not suitable. So he was not selected. Sachin Tendulkar is a school dropout. And recently, I met one Mr. John in Nagarkoil. He wanted me to come and see a generator he has created. He has invented. It's a wonderful thing. He has already got an international patent. You don't require petrol. You don't have anything. From nothing, he is able to create electricity using an electronic device. Any amount of electricity it is able to create, what a change it will bring to the world. And when I asked him what engineering you did, he said, I'm a dropout. So, we will have to look at people differently, and we will have to encourage our children, especially when they have certain disabilities. Now, the love for the children is what makes a difference for the teacher. In any person's life who has achieved something great, if you read their biography or you have an interview with them, always they say that what difference it made was a teacher, which Father Jagat Kasper also told on the first day, that he was narrating that book, Chicken Soups and Souls, where an experiment he was narrating, where ultimately those achievers, when they were asked, they pointed out to a teacher, and when the researchers went to the teacher simply said that, I loved those boys, that's all. That was what made that difference. So, today we have a situation, the country is divided. We are talking about caste, creed, religion. Just simply think, did I become a Christian by reading Bible? Did any Hindu become a Hindu by reading Bhagavad Gita? Did any Muslim adopted Islam after reading Quran? It is just because of our birth. Today I don't practice any religion. That is my wish. But as because I was born in a Christian family, I am called as a Christian. But what is important is that we are all humans. We respect each other. We care for each other. As because a poor Christian goes to a shop owned by a jewelry mart owned by a Christian, if he goes and says that my daughter is getting married, I am poor, I require 5 sovereigns of gold for the thali, do you think that any jeweler will give? Same is the case whether it is a Hindu jewelry mart or a Muslim jewelry mart. And when you look at the blood, we are all blood donors. I have donated blood at least 16 times. Nobody asks which religion, which caste you belong to. What is asked is only what group of blood you have, that's all. So, today it is very, very important, as Dr. Ashok Vardhan Shetty was saying, countries which have got scattered, have got broken into smaller countries is because of that intolerance, because of that difference created in the name of caste or creed or religion or language, which as teachers, as the visionaries for the future, you are going to make change to see that this country remains as India. India remains as one nation in spite of so many religions, so many castes, so many creeds, so many languages. that unity in diversity is something we should continue to celebrate. My appeal to you is that technology is very important. Yesterday we discussed about artificial intelligence also. And as I told yesterday, technology is to help man, help human beings, and not to replace human beings. That should be the foremost thought when we bring in technology into practice. Technology, artificial intelligence cannot replace teachers. It cannot replace a mother. Whatever you try to do, whatever innovations, creativity you bring in, nobody can replace a mother. And as teachers, you are the mothers for these children. And we have this Atal Tinkering Lab. Please make use of that. That will help you to bring out the talents, the creativity, especially the scientific temperament of the children, and that will make a lot of difference. We have this National Children's Science Congress, in which the children are allowed to do a lot of research at the lower level itself. That will bring in their creativity. Conduct activities. Keep on having activities. Activities makes the difference. Your classroom teaching is limited. And this activity is something which we are trying to bring in through the logic mills also. There is going to be thousands of activities, and you will be creating more and more of activities from what you learn. That is what Mark was saying yesterday also. And arrange a lot of field trips. One of the feedback from our parents has been that nowadays you have just one annual field trip. That's not enough. Whatever difficulties you have, take the children out. Let them go around. Take them around, let them see things. That will help them to understand better. School has to be a place of activities even on holidays. Put some teacher in charge on a holiday to look after the campus and tell the parents and children that yes, your child can come on a holiday also. Sit in a group, discuss things, try to do something different. That will give an enormous opportunity for the children to bring out their capabilities. And environment is something very crucial. Today people are going back to nature. If we don't go back to nature, the earth may not be able to survive. So in whatever we do, the aspect of environment, sustainability, in the vision document we have brought in the sustainable development goals, which has been just talked about by UN, but nobody practices. That is why we decided that the Technology Vision 2035 document and the Sustainable Development Goals both have to be merged together into our vision document, which has been prepared as an excellent document. But that document can give meaning only if we practice what is written down there. It is your own creation. You have written down, you have discussed, but prepare an action plan, annual action plan, 5-year action plan. That way, keep on doing experiments, and that alone will be able to really bring our vision to reality. And I also request you, you have great talents, you are great teachers. Record your class teachings. If necessary, each school can buy I know you all have cameras, you want to have a video camera of good quality, buy that. And take an initiative to record the best teaching of a teacher. Every week, record one, upload it into our website. We will do a small evaluation, like we have done that 100 nursery rhymes. I went through some of them. It's amazing. Your creativity is excellent. But some of them require some improvement. And a simple idea I could evaluate was that wherever we had used human beings, that is more appealing than the cartoons which you have made. When you have used your own children in that rhymes, that is becoming more appealing. We will be doing a small evaluation and we will be uploading it into the YouTube so that the whole world looks at the new rhymes which we have created, and let them also start creating more rhymes, and let us forget this Baba Black Sheep and forget this rain, rain, go away, and start welcoming the rain, and that is possible because of the teachers. Finally, I am really happy that I had this wonderful opportunity of working in the association. I never had dreamt that I will reach up to the level. After all, I was just a simple school teacher in Nagaland in 1979. But from that level to this level, it was possible because of the support of my colleagues. As Franco, I am a zero. But when the management committee comes to my left-hand side and put an 1, it becomes 10. When the administrators join, it becomes 100. When the principals join, it becomes 1,000, 1 lakh, and it goes to infinity. It is all because of the team efforts that we have been able to achieve this. And I am sure my colleagues who had been in my journey, in a caravan, people will come in, people will go, people will drop. So, but in this long journey, these colleagues have been with me, you have been with me for some years, and I am sure under the new leadership which will take over in July, you will have a better future, you will reach greater height, and I only appeal to you that please continue your creativity, please continue your empathy, and please continue your loyalty to this institution. This family has to flourish. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful address, appreciation, motivation, and criticism, which will definitely help us to improve. Sir, you have laid the path. We will follow your lead and deliver excellence. Thank you once again, sir. Unity in Diversity, Top 18, was made possible by many hands, hearts, and minds working together. To express a word of appreciation and gratitude, I invite Dr. M. Indra Jairaj, Vice Principal Sharpen, to propose the vote of thanks.